Well, it has been the discussion today. Last night's debate between Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Republican challenger Tudor Dixon facing off right here on our debate stage.
It was a historic night in a historic race. The first time two women will face each other in the race for governor of Michigan.
And they were quick last night to differentiate each other on the issues as they try to win your vote. Here's again a recap of some of what they had to say.
Please clearly explain your views on abortion.
Michigan could revert to a 1931 law that makes it a felony, no exceptions for rape or incest, criminalizing doctors and nurses. The only reason that law is not in effect right now is because of my lawsuit stopping it.
My position on abortion is clear. I am pro-life with exceptions for life of the mother. But I understand that this is going to be decided by the people of the state of Michigan or by a judge.
And people wanted to know 1,000 questions, that's an exaggeration, about the state's response to COVID-19. I want to first ask you, Governor, looking back, if there is anything that you would have done differently. And Ms. Dixon, when I get to you, I want to ask you, if you had been governor, what would you have done differently?
Studies have shown that our actions saved thousands of lives. Now, 35,000 people in our state have died from COVID. They may not matter to some, but they matter to me, every single one of them. If I could go back in time with the knowledge we have now, sure, I would have made some different decisions. But we were working in the middle of a crisis and lives were on the line.
We have the letter from the Nursing Home Association that said, whatever you do, don't send COVID-positive patients into nursing homes. And yet the governor did. When Andrew Cuomo even backed off of this, Governor Whitmer doubled down. She even tried to hide the final report of the numbers of how many deaths we had.
And that was just a small sample of what the candidates were asked last night. They also touched on guns, the economy, and schools. We do want to bring in our political reporter, Rick Albin.
Lots of people talking about this, I'm sure, today. What do you think they're talking about?
Well, I think a lot of people are going to be talking about their perception of Tudor Dixon. Now, I'm not saying that's positive or negative, but for a lot of people, this was the first time they've seen her. Now, that may be strategically good or bad. Traditionally, these candidates would have been out more, and we've heard some talk about that. But on the other hand, now here we are, people are already voting, and you get this big event just as people start with their absentee ballots. So now she's on the stage with the governor and has an opportunity to explain what she believes, what she stands for, and most important, she showed that she came prepared and that she could stand with the governor, because sometimes you get a mismatch in these debates. Let's face it, it just happens. Some people may be very good candidates and not great debaters. Well, in this case, both candidates came prepared, and if you wanted a really good chance to see where they were, you got that last night.
Rick, you brought up absentee ballots. The Ingham County clerk today kind of sounding the alarm. She's a Democrat. She says the rate of return on these ballots is down. Where's the enthusiasm lie in this race?
That is an interesting point, because if the return rate is down, it's always been pretty high. If the return rate is down, it could suggest that people just haven't decided yet. And that's a little bit about what we talked about last night. If those people are leaning towards or likely, but haven't made that solid commitment, that solid decision, then this debate last night with people who have ballots in their hands could be a pivotal moment for them. And the other part of that is that we know that in a race like this, people want to make a decision, but they want to make an informed decision. So we may see these ballots come in a little bit later.
And listening last night, it really could move the needle.
It can for some people. And here's the thing. There's no way to know what the impact of what either of them said, really, is for individual voters. But what we do know is that they are so separated, that they're so divergent in their views, that it's not going to be a toss of the coin, because you're either going to align with one of these candidates or the other one. It isn't like there's a lot of gray area. So I think last night's debate served as much as anything to give people a very clear canvas as to what these two candidates for governor, the two major party candidates for governor, stand for, what they say they would do, what they believe. And I want to take a minute and give them both credit, because it's a big undertaking. They spend weeks, a couple of weeks probably, preparing. They come here and they spend 3 or 4 hours because we have to get them here early and do all of that. They don't have to do it. They did it. They came. They answered the questions. And as a reporter, I appreciate that.
And again, great job. If anyone was a winner last night, perhaps it was you.
There you go.
But I'm not on the line.
That's right.
And if you missed last night's debate, you can watch the full thing right now at woodtv.com.